We recently got a huge announcement from the Paralives developers. Early access has been pushed back to May 2026. Let's break down exactly what this means. Grab a cuppa, get comfortable, because the next few minutes is going to be pretty intense. So first things first, Paralives early access has been pushed back significantly. We're looking at the December 8th, 2025 early access release date, moving to the 25th of May 2026. That is nearly 6 months later than we were expecting. Now, before you panic, let me explain why this delay might actually be good news. The Paralives team has been transparent about this. While their Paramaker and build mode are testing really well, live mode still has some really impactful bugs, and honestly, the town just doesn't have enough things for us to do quite yet. The devs are being honest about the reality that live sims are essentially 3 games in one. We've got character creation, building, and the live simulation. They want to make sure that the simulation aspect is absolutely rock solid for launch, because first impressions matter huge in this genre. So mark your calendars for Tuesday, November 25th, 5 p.m. UK time. The team is doing a 45-minute long, uninterrupted live mode gameplay live stream on their YouTube channel. This is going to be our first real deep dive into how the actual gameplay feels, so I highly recommend turning in for this one. But if you can't make it to the live stream, don't worry, I've got you covered. I'll be doing a summary video on the 28th, showing some of the highlights and points of interest from the live stream. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that. Now, let's talk about the Paramaker, because there's some fascinating news here. First, the elder customization is sounding incredibly detailed. This isn't just adding wrinkles and gray hair, they're really thinking about how bodies change with age, such as ears getting larger and the more arched back or humped back posture that is common in very old people. Currently, identical twins will actually be identical, as in they will share the same genetics, though you might see slight variations in things like specific hair shades. There's no UI markers for twins yet, which is a little bit interesting. Moving to the voice options, the devs have announced in a recent developer Q&A chat that adults are getting 4 choices of voices, 2 masculine and 2 feminine voices, while kids, toddlers, and babies are getting 1 voice option. However, the devs have said that pitch sliders are coming later in early access, so at least we'll eventually have those so that everyone has a little bit of a unique voice and all of the paras won't sound exactly the same. Representation, though, is where I'm really impressed. They've got a few textured and African hairstyles right now, including 2 lock styles and 2 braided styles, and they are currently in the process of making even more based on feedback. Now, here's the smart part. Instead of gamifying neurodivergence or mental health diagnoses, they're giving us things like vibes, talents, and social perks to represent our individual paras' personalities. Think energetic vibe instead of ADHD. So townies will not autonomously build relationships or marry at early access launch, though that will be coming later, but we will be able to have multiple relationship labels simultaneously. Your paras could be both parent and friend to another para, or even have the rival relationship label and crush at the same time. The wants versus needs system is being reworked. Wants will no longer freeze needs, which should make paras more predictable and manageable. There's going to be 4 death types currently available at early access launch. These are hunger, exhaustion, old age, and death by fire. Now note that NPCs generally will not die from neglected needs, since their needs are not tracked in the background. And this is really good, because otherwise I'm just picturing the entire town dying all at once because their needs aren't being met. I'm really glad to hear that that's not going to happen, or shouldn't happen. There's going to be a simple cooking system at launch, no ingredients needed to cook any recipes, and no shopping for food, though you can buy food at the local cafes, like croissants and a cup of coffee. And of course, the devs have already shown, or have previously shown, that we're going to be able to order things like pizza via the Sims mobile phones. And speaking of mobile phones, every para will get one by default, and they're currently being used as a crutch for the gameplay UI, so your paras will need the mobile phone for doing things such as finding jobs and so on. There isn't going to be a bed ownership system at early access launch, so you will not be able to assign specific beds to specific paras, but the developers are going to be adding that at some point in the future. Moving on to the modding scene, official modding documentation will not be ready for launch, but modders will likely be able to add custom animations, new needs, interactions, and wants. And this is a huge thing for the community. I'm looking forward to seeing what modders come up with the in-game modding system. Now, I know that 6 months feels like forever when we're all excited for this game, but honestly, the Paralives team is showing exactly the kind of transparency and quality focus that we want to see. They're not rushing something broken to meet a deadline set by a large publisher. They're making sure that the core simulation experience is actually fun and stable so that when early access does launch, we're going to be able to play the game for a lot longer and get more enjoyment out of it. Given that this is essentially competing with The Sims 4 10 plus years of development and all of the DLC that they've released in that time frame, taking the extra time to get live mode right and giving us plenty to do in live mode makes total sense to me. Now, I'm going to be covering that November 25th livestream in detail, and I will be keeping track of any additional updates as we move toward the May 2026 launch. In the meantime, I'm curious, how does this delay affect your plans? Are you still as excited about release, or does the extra wait time change anything for you? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you missed the last video that I made about Paralives, you can watch that just here.